Oh my God! Just leave women alone. Oh my God!
Just leave us alone. Just leave us alone. Oh, leave us alone. When men actually listen, when men do what women ask, a lot of women get confused and ask, why aren't men approaching me anymore? Here's a good reason why.
So I was at the library today doing some
Okay.
writing, but more importantly, eavesdropping, because that's what I do. And in front of where I was sitting, there was a woman sitting reading a book.
Nosy. Bit of a nosy woman, aren't you? Okay.
And I watched this man approach her, and he sits down next to her. She doesn't acknowledge him. She doesn't look up. She doesn't give any cue whatsoever that she is interested in initiating a conversation. She just wants to read her book. He starts asking her questions like, what's your name? Do you live around here? Do you come here often? Yada, yada, yada. So about 4 to 5 questions in, she says to the man, hey, I just want to read my book. To which he says to her, is it bothering you that I'm speaking to you?
Let me stop her there. This is not to cap for men. This is not to cap for men who harass women. Nope. This is not the point at all. Just to make sure I'm clarifying this point at the start. This is not a cap for men. It's not an endorsement for men to harass women who want to be left alone. Stop running! Just make sure I make that clear. If she's busy doing whatever she's doing, understood, clarified, there's no cap for harassment. Okay. But where this goes wrong is men who aren't like that, men who would approach, but not in such a invading your space, territory, I'm a man sort of thing. No, to make my point clear, that respectfully approach women, men that understand boundaries. Okay, the point I'm making to my waffle is a lot of those men fully take on the opinions of women like this.
Leave women alone.
And even though she captioned not all men,
Oh my God!
you know, in the bottom of her video, yeah, it's not all men. However, the men who actually understand boundaries, the reality is a lot of those men are going to take on her opinion a lot more than men who don't give an F about a woman's boundaries.
Bingo.
But let's continue.
You that I'm speaking to you? She reiterates the same statement. I just really want to read my book. He says to her, but am I bothering you by talking to you? She said, well, yeah, when I'm sitting here trying to read my book and somebody keeps interrupting me, it does bother me. I think it's kind of a nuisance. And he goes, a nuisance? She goes, yeah, a nuisance. He goes, well, I disagree. I don't think that somebody talking to you is a nuisance. I mean, I can see how you would feel that way if somebody put their hands on you. That's a nuisance.
Okay, yeah, the guy is being off. He should have taken what she said first and left. He's clearly he's winding her up now and it's like, it's ridiculous. The point I want to add is, men like this mess it up for other men. It then makes other men cautious about even approaching a woman or even looking at her for too long. See, a lot of men no longer approach. But the point is, it's not always their fault.
And he still kept going. And at this point, this woman literally picks up her book and starts to walk away from this man. And she's walking past me at this point with this guy behind her. So I make eye contact with her and I gave her like one of these, offering her to sit down with me if she would like. I was like, you okay? And she just goes, he's still talking to her. So anyways, what are you doing for the rest of the day? Would you maybe want to go out sometime? She doesn't say another word to him. At this point, this guy sits down next to another guy in the library. I don't know if he knew him or not. And he starts giving this man a play-by-play of the interaction that just took place with this woman.
Okay, none of what he did, I see that as game or is. Him going to talk to a woman, okay, out of the blue, but she was not in a comfortable place. She had not given him any signals to approach. Now, this is where a lot of men and women are kind of going wrong. A man like that guy, he approached with no prior signals. She didn't give him an indication to like, come and talk to me. Oh, come and talk to me. Come and try to talk me out of my drawers. No. She didn't try to do any of that. So this guy was cold approaching a woman who wasn't even looking at him. No eye contact or anything. However, a different situation now where a woman may be indicating to a man to come and talk to her because of what other men have done and what women have said.
Leave women alone.
That man would be cautious regardless of if he's getting signals or not, because now he's unsure. It's like, what's happening? What's happening? There's a point I'm going to make in a bit. Something men don't like. It's something that most men actually find disgusting. But I'm going to make that point in a bit.
He says, and I quote, "Yeah, man, I was over there just a minute ago trying to talk to this chick, but she didn't like me because I killed her with my logic." Oh my God! Just leave women alone. She just wanted to read her book. When you asked her a question and you didn't like the response that you got, instead of accepting her no, you went about convincing her as to why her response to your question was wrong.
Okay, the point I want to add is most men do not want to be seen as another type of man that he's not. So if a man is not the sort of man who would harass women to get their number or whatever, a man would hate to be seen as that sort of man. A man who doesn't take advantage of women, who doesn't put his hands on women, yeah, those men hate to be seen as, or it being implied that he is that sort of man. Now, a lot of men hate that, despise it. So in this case, men who aggressively approach women, a lot of men do not want to be seen as that sort of man. However, it would cause a lot of men to just not approach to begin with. Completely just disregard approaching. There are too many if, ands, or buts. There are too many conflictions, too many conflicting thoughts. Is she giving me a signal or just looking at me? Do I have something on my face? Do I look odd? Is she looking at me or someone past me? Now, yes, on one hand, you can say, oh, it's men. Men's mental issues. Men are overthinking everything. On one hand, you can say that. But again, go back to what I've just said. A lot of men despise being seen as the sort of man he is not. Never! He's not. So in a lot of ways, it's being reinterpreted as, oh, men are weak, weak, fragile men. No, not really. Because there are a lot of men out there who still aggressively approach women. The sad reality is women just keep putting all of us in that same box.
There's still monsters out there, Spence.
Then when they want a man to approach them, they're shocked when he's not even trying to approach her. Without understanding as women, they're painting all of us with the same brush. It's difficult not to, but I mean, come on. A lot of men want to get to know a woman, not harass her. But some men have no idea what is harassment nowadays.
Your question was wrong. And every single woman that I know has a story like this. There's nothing wrong with initiating a conversation, but we have a right to not be interested, and we don't need you to try to convince us that we should be. Killed her with my logic.
My parents couldn't just raise me to be a dainty little princess who gets spoiled by their man. No, they made me the man. And now here I am spending my Sunday looking for a bar oil for my chainsaw. Most women probably don't even know what bar oil is. God damn it, Fred.
I think my favorite part about dating men is how after 3 months, they just change their entire personality and start hating you.
Just leave us alone can be taken in many, many ways. You can't blame men for being hesitant nowadays, even if a woman is giving signals. A small amount of men do a lot of damage, and a lot of men would rather not take the risk. Have a nice day.
Leave women alone.